Listen. When I was a youngster, ain't nothing I was allergic to more than cats. It's almost like it's not the voice is not coming out of my mouth because when you do it, you have to like not move. You have to not. You don't want to move your lips too much because you don't want to move your lips too much because to do this can't be trying too hard. So I used to be deathly allergic to cats. I had asthma. I have asthma. I had really bad asthma as a kid, and certain cats. So here's a little bit of cat allergy education for you. If you're allergic, chances are you're not allergic to the people used to think that you were allergic to the fur. Oh, he's allergic to the fur, so we're gonna clean up the fur. We'll vacuum and sweep up, and he'll be fine. That would never work. I'd go to somebody's house. My mom's friend cleaned the shit out of her house because she knew I was so allergic to cats, and she really wanted us to come over. She loved hanging out with us kids. They didn't have kids, so their kids had gotten older and moved away or something. So she was really she cleaned up like crazy, and it did not matter how much she cleaned up, I would still get an asthma attack. And it's not the dander. It's not. Turns out it's the saliva. It's the saliva on the fur and the dander. So no matter how much you clean up, the cat licks itself and then rubs against everything. And so the saliva gets into your carpet and especially on your furniture, like your sofa, anything soft that'll like wipe off. You can wipe off saliva onto it. So you can vacuum the hell out. I mean, you could clean up as much as you want, but it's in everything that it touches. The cats rub up against. Think about how many things cats rub up against. They rub up against your clothes. They rub up against the curtains, everything. So I'm allergic. I'm crazy allergic, or I used to be really allergic. Now I'm okay. Not so bad. Not going to go to the hospital. Back then, hospital time. And if like certain cats, I was allergic to more, because think about like people's saliva is specific to them, right? Your germs are your germs. So the cat, like a certain cat, one cat I could be super fine with, and one cat I'd be super allergic to. And I used to, at least once a year, I would have to go to the hospital because I would go into a place with a cat that made me so allergic that my lungs would close up and my chest would close up and I couldn't breathe. And one time it happened. I told you guys before, my mom's family, she was from a coal mining town outside of Charleston, West Virginia, in the middle of nowhere. Near the holler, down near the holler, where they spelt cemetery, if you had someone passed, they buried them in the cemetery, and they literally spelled it Cemetry, cemetery. And I was out there an hour away from the nearest hospital, and I got an asthma attack. And my mom, they grabbed me and put me in the pickup truck and drove me. They just hauled ass out to the hospital and barely made it. Like my mom said my lips were blue. I had no oxygen. Like I was turning purple. And they just barely got there in time. And what they would do back then is they didn't really prescribe inhalers when I was a little kid. They prescribed like liquid medicine, and you could get a shot. I think I got like a steroid shot on that one. But they'd prescribe you this stuff called Allupent, which was like a purple medicine. And it had like I don't know what it had in it, but every time I had to take it, I would freak the fuck out. It was like giving me like a little kid, like a Red Bull or like whatever, Monster, full size can of Monster in a little kid's body that's like 35, 40 pounds. I was running. I remember how spazzed out. My teeth were chattering. I was freaking out. And I guess that's it. There's no punchline in the story. The punchline of the story is I didn't die. That's great. And eventually, medicine got better, and I didn't have to take the Allupent. But if there's a few times. There was one time I went to my friend's house, and he was. I went for a sleepover. I was like probably like 12. And he was my really close friend. He lived right next door. Never had it. He didn't have cats. I obviously didn't have cats. He moved away, like an hour away. And I didn't see him for a while. And my mom was like, oh, we're going to go see Scott. And I set up a play date. I set up a sleepover. So I go up to Scott's house. She drops me off. And she leaves. And the fucking cat comes out into the room. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, we got a cat. I was like, His mom's like, oh no, you're allergic. And I was like, yeah, I'm really allergic. And I was like, she said, what do we do? Should we get your mom? And we didn't have cell phones. It was pre-cell phones. And she's like, what should we do? And I was like, well, some cats I'm fine. And especially as I got older, I was fine with some cats. So I was like, well, let's just see how it goes. And an hour went by and I was fine. And like 2 hours went by and I was like, oh, okay, I got this. We're cool. I'm not allergic to the cat. Isn't that great? We played outside a lot just to be safe. Had dinner, went to bed in the middle of the night. I was like, no. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning, and I was like, oh, I'm feeling it. having a little bit of a problem. So I waited, and I was okay, but I could feel it. And the next morning, I fell asleep. And the next morning, I woke up, and I was having an asthma attack. It wasn't like a 10 out of 10. It was like a 6 or a 7. And I was like, okay, I'm having an asthma attack. I should go home. She's like, yeah. Well, actually, I didn't say it. I told her, I told his mom I'm having a problem breathing. And she's like, okay, let's eat breakfast, finish breakfast, and take you home. So she called my mom and said, we're coming home early. And my mom was like, oh no, I'm not home. Nobody's home. But just there's a spare key. Here's where it is. Just let him in the house and I'll just get home as soon as I can. So they take me home. It's an hour drive home. It's getting worse. And I got my mom, I knew where my medicine was at home. And we got to the door and I'm full on and she's like, okay, go inside and get the medicine. When I had really bad asthma attacks and they lasted a while and I couldn't get the medicine fast enough, one of the things that's fun that happens when you can't get oxygen is you throw up. Not a predictable result outcome to asthma. I don't know why you would throw up, because that's not going to help you. It has nothing to do with your lungs to throw up, but that's what my body would do. And I was like, I'm getting sick. And she's like, she's fumbling to get the spare key and get it in the door. And I ran for the bathroom, but I didn't make it. I came in the door running full speed, and just the force of my body already running, and then the barf, it ejected 15 feet. I remember it coming out. If you guys have ever seen the movie Stand By Me, when there's the scene where the kid throws up, I did that. It was just bah! And a laser beam of vomit just shot as far as it could shoot. And it came out, and I was like, ugh. And I ran into the bathroom, and I threw up some more, and then grabbed my medicine, and she came out. I came out, and she was like already like trying to clean it up. And I was already starting to feel bad. The medicine kicked in pretty fast. And then I had all the energy. I was like, hey, let me help you clean up. Oh, here's the sponge, here's the wall. She had the best helper in the world helping her clean up that barf. I was like on speed. I was just running around cleaning shit up. After I cleaned up the barf, I cleaned up the carpet, I vacuumed everything. It's like having a little 11-year-old coke addict in the house. And that's my story. I hope you enjoyed it. That is how things were when I was a little asthmatic, whatever, kid. Oh, and for those of you who are young, who have asthma, hopefully you could grow out of it. Just the other day, I was swimming with my kids in a pool, and I swam the full length of the pool, so one time and then back again without coming up for air. And I felt like a superhero. I felt so good. And then I remembered, oh yeah, like when I was a kid, I could get to maybe to one side. It gets better.